I'm going to show you how we take a little cutting like this and grow it into a mature fruit-bearing tree like this. In order to grow this cutting into a mature fruit-bearing mango tree, we just need to fuse it with a mango seedling. And to do that, we use a technique called grafting. This cutting came from a mature mango tree in my grove, and the variety is Naomi. And this seedling I'm showing you here, as I look at it, I think it's still a little young to take a graft, but luckily I've got hundreds more to choose from. So I'm going to dig around down here and see if I could find a seedling that is not only mature and ready to be grafted, but also a good size match for my cutting. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is prepare our cutting, and we do that just by removing the leaves. That leaves us with this little stem or stalk here. This is called a scion. This is also called budwood. It's also called a cutting. And you know it's ready to graft because it's got this little crown of new growth here that's ready to push through, but it hasn't pushed through yet. If this has already pushed through to new growth, it'd be a little too late to graft this. But this guy's ready to graft. This guy's ready to be fused with the seedling. Now, to prepare the seedling, I just want to find a place on the seedling where the diameter of the cutting matches the diameter of the seedling. And that's about right here. So now my seedling is ready. And so the first thing we do is we want to cut a slit. We're going to cut a slit in our seedling, and we're going to cut a wedge in our cutting, and we're going to insert the wedge into the slit. So let me show you how we cut our slit. We don't go directly in the center. We go a little bit off center. And we cut down. I like to cut about a little bit more than the width of this knife. So now I've got my slit cut. Next, I want to prepare the cutting, and to do that, I want to get two nice clean cuts, one on each side, to form a wedge. So here you see now we've got the cutting with a nice wedge. And I could take that wedge now and insert it into the slit I made on the seedling. You want the edges to be flush. Now this one, yeah, this one's good. You want the edges to be flush. So now you see here I've inserted my cutting into my seedling, and I've got the edges flush. I just hold them here with my finger, and now I'm just going to wrap it up tight with grafting tape. So I take you can get grafting tape on Amazon. You can probably get it at your local gardening center, and I take the grafting tape and I like to stretch it out a little bit, make it a little bit elastic. That's a little too much there, but and I like to make sure I'm holding everything flush with my fingers, so I can pinch the tape, and I'm holding the cutting and the seedling flush. And yes, I know my hands shake. I was born that way. I've always had shaky hands. And then there's nothing wrong with me. And then I just take my tape and I wrap up my graft, and I come back down, and then I take the tape and I put a few twists in it like this. I just twist it up like this, and that makes it like a little bit of like rope. You can see here I'm just like spinning it now, almost like, you know, weaving a little rope here. And I'll take like 2 or 3 more turns. 1, 2, 3. Those are tight turns, and then I'll just tie it off. So first I'm going to make a frame. This is just a regular wire hanger. I'm just going to make this like upside down U. Put it in the soil like that. Then we take a bag. I'm going to just tie off the bag with a square knot. And there you have a grafted Naomi mango tree. Now, you may ask, why graft a tree? Why not grow a tree from seed? And the reason is, seed-grown trees are unpredictable. We don't know what we're going to get. So this tree right here, this is called a lemon meringue. And I put this in the ground about 3 months ago. This is already about 1.5 years, 2 years old. That is a lemon meringue variety mango, and I think it's called like Pew Pai Ket or something like that. I believe it comes from the country of Myanmar. And if I was to plant the seed from one of those, if I eat the fruit and plant the seed, I won't get the lemon meringue variety. This little guy here is called 015. He don't even have a name yet. Because what a lot of guys do is they plant seeds and they wait to see what grows. That could take 10 years, that could take 15 years, sometimes that could take 20 years. And every now and then they grow themselves a delicious tasting variety, a variety that produces well, a variety that's disease resistant. And this one happened to be in row O, column 15 at their nursery. It tastes good, it grows good, they just have yet to come up with a name for it. Speaking of growing varieties from seed and then naming them, I did that. I grew a tree from seed, it turned out really good, and I created a variety called the Balot mango. Let's go graft one of those. Behind me here is the Balot mango. It's a mature tree, it bears fruit every year. The fruit are delicious, and it was grown from seed. This tree was not grafted like I just showed you. This tree was grown from seed, produced a random mango variety that happened to taste delicious, and the tree produces every year, and the tree produces a lot. And since it was grown from seed, and I'm the owner, I get to name it. So I named it the Balot after my maternal grandparents, Bessie and Bill Balot. In order for you to taste the deliciousness of the Balot mango, I need to graft more trees. I can't service my customer base with just one Balot mango tree. And in order to do that, I need to take some cuttings and graft some so that we have multiple Balot trees. And I happen to see some nice big fat ones right up above this ladder. Now remember, I'm looking for new growth, not too new that it's like green and wet and noodly, but some nice new growth that's got a crown starting at the top, but that crown hasn't pushed through yet. And this one fits the bill just fine. So I'm going to harvest this cutting. Come on, we'll go graft this guy. We're going to prepare this Balot cutting the same way we did the last one. We'll remove the leaves. We're left with this beautiful specimen. Snip. And this one I'm going to go extra careful when I wrap. I'm going to just make sure that my right, so your left, I'm going to make sure that that side stays flush as I wrap this guy. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. Okay, there we have another graft. Now this one I'm going to tie off with grafting tape. Now you'll remember the last one was the Naomi, not Valencia Pride. It was the Naomi that I did. I tied that off with a square knot. This one I'm going to tie off with a bow knot like we tie our shoes with. And that will remind me that B is for bow, and B is also for Balot, which is the variety we just grafted. There's another variety I have that's a little bit deeper into the grove called a kit, which is delicious. I mean like scrumptious. We're going to go graft that in a second. But before we do, I want to show you that we could graft trees of any age. We don't have to only graft seedlings. This stump is a mango tree. This is a mango tree that grew from seed. Now, if I want to, I can graft a cutting just like I did onto a seedling onto these branches that's growing back. And I think we should do that right now. Let's go get a cutting. I think there's one right here. There's some nice new growth, not too new. A little bit of a crown at the top. It's not producing new growth. There's one cutting. I don't like that one. There's another one here that had a little curly Q at the end of it right here. There is two cuttings. So let's take these two kit cuttings and go back to that mature tree that I stumped and graft these onto it. This is the first time I've ever done this. This is called top working, when we take a mature tree that's already producing and we stump it and graft a new variety onto it. Let me just clean things up a little bit. Here's a shoot I can use, and I'm gonna remove all the growth from that shoot. I'm gonna get this out of the way, this shoot. And then this one here, I don't know, it feels like it's a little too early, but I'm gonna try it anyway. So I just prepped two shoots, this one and this one. And then this stuff over here that's growing, I'm gonna leave it for two reasons. Number one, this, since it's a big tree stump, he needs nutrients, and I want there to be leaves and photosynthesis while this grafting is taking place. And number two is, in case these grafts don't take, I want there to be new growth, so a few months down the road, I can try to graft it again. From here on out, think of these as seedlings. and I want to make my cut. Like I say, this side here, this one's a little wet and new. Might be a little too early. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. This one here is firmer. This one should be good. This is like a real branch. Put my wedge cut on one side, my wedge cut on the other. These don't match up perfectly, so I'm gonna put it flush on this side, and on this side it won't be flush. I'm gonna use my finger to make sure it stays flush on that side, which it is. It's actually going really nice. And there we have a graft onto an already mature tree. And here we have our 2 shoots grafted. To wrap things up, there are a lot of advantages a grafted tree has over a seed-grown tree. We discussed why you might want to graft onto an already mature tree in your yard. We talked about the tools you need for grafting, which essentially is a pruning shears and a sharp knife. We reviewed the materials you need, like grafting tape. You can use parafilm. You could even use rubber bands to close the graft. You need a plastic bag. You might use a wire hanger to make a frame for your plastic bag. And of course, we discussed the process. You grow your seedling. You take a cutting from an already existing tree. You prep your seedling. You prep your cutting, and you fuse the cutting into your seedling with grafting tape. Now you know why we graft. You know how to graft. You know where to go out and get the materials. There is nothing standing in your way from giving it a try. But if you're the type who'd rather not do all that work, and you'd rather just leave it to the experts, then you can buy your fruit directly at guacfarm.com. GUACFARM.com. We sell our mangoes, we sell our avocados, whatever other tropical fruit we have in season is for sale on guacfarm.com. We got these t-shirts, we got these baseball caps, and we have thousands of satisfied customers. Now, all this talk about tropical fruit made me really hungry. And this one little ripe mulberry, the first of the season, is not gonna be enough to fill my belly. So I think I'm gonna go inside and make myself a bacon grilled cheese sandwich. While I do that, you go to guacfarm.com, and I will see you on the next video.